No, you good. You should.
Good afternoon and hello. Thank you all for joining. This is an opportunity for us to have a great discussion around mental health. This is mental hygiene. My name is Dr. Lloyd Benson II, and I have a group of professionals here with me today to share with us their stories, to share with us their testimonials and tools that you can use to enhance your mental hygiene. Oftentimes we talk about physical hygiene, we dress it up, we perfume it up, we cologne it up for aesthetic appeal, but we overlook the mental aspect of it. And mental hygiene is top tier. And so we have a great panel with us today. We have to my right, Dr. Jamila Castleberry. She's a board-approved clinical social worker in the state of Louisiana. She holds a Bachelor of Social Work from Southern University Agriculture and Mechanical College, master's degree in social work from Louisiana State University, and a doctoral degree from Arizona State University. We have Mr. Chase Fleming to my right. He is the owner of Chasing and Achieving, personal trainer, fitness instructor. We have Mr. Corey Stewart to my left. Corey brings over 20 years of professional experience to his role as Corporate Director of Government Affairs for Coca-Cola's Southeast region. He's thrived in state government in Louisiana. His dedication extends beyond the boardroom with faith and family, serving God. He's also his gospel group, award-winning gospel group, Authentically Anointed, was recently crowned America's Next Top Gospel Choir. To my left, we have Mr. Adrian Brumfield Sr., also known as Mr. A. He's a seasonal health educator with over 30 years of experience in personal training and group fitness instruction. To my right, we have Dr. Diodario Conway. He specializes in diagnosing and treatment of psychiatric disorders. He received his bachelor's from Southern University, a master from Southern University, and a PhD in public policy from Southern University. He's explored the psychological effects and challenges black men endure as a result of police killings of unarmed black males in America. Also, we have to my left, standout comedian Seabass. He is one that's been seen on the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store, and improv comedy clubs. He has a new movie out, The Diminishing Value of Love. He's been seen on many networks. In 2022, he performed in front of over 40,000 people in New Orleans at the Superdome's Bayou Classic. That same year, he opened up his own school of comedy to teach the art of stand-up comedy, and he was recently awarded a residency deal with Socially Yours Event Center in Baton Rouge. And again, this recently launched on the Comedy Plus network, The Diminishing Value of Love, which you can see on Amazon.
And Grambling State University. Grambling State University as well. Yeah, one degree. Just one. I didn't stop at one.
Lastly, we have Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr. He is a visionary entrepreneur, coalition builder, strategic thinker, and community leader in Council District 6 in the city of Baton Rouge. He's a husband and a father. You've seen him around town making a huge impact in our community, the voice of the people, and he's joining us today. And so, as we get into the conversation today, I'm going to ask some questions to these panelists here, and they're just going to share and tell you how you can enhance your mental hygiene. So, ladies first, I'm going to start with Dr. Castleberry. And how you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Sitting amongst a room full of black men, so I'm amazing.
You're amazing. And so that's where I want to go directly with it. For ladies that are seeking a way to support the black man in their life, whether it be their child, or their son, their brother, their spouse, what tech skills or strategies would you share with ladies where they can better support their men mentally?
Okay. So I'm not going to act like I'm a male. I'm not. So I don't know y'all journeys. Individually, I work with a lot of males because I am a therapist. And I think we're now breaking the stigma that therapy is important for the black community, but not only just the black community, black males. Women will seek support. We're known to be nurturers, and we're going to go out and get whatever we need to find support. But the pressure is on the people around me. How many times do we appear, or we think black men should just appear as this strong being, this provider? So when I'm working with men, oftentimes they say, I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard, and I don't feel valued. how is that when they're the pillar of our community? I mean, like, let's be honest. We have to put you guys back to the core, but create settings that are spaces like this. That's why this is amazing, that we can acknowledge that Black men need to be heard. They need to be feel, they need to feel loved. They need to be respected. So I won't act like I know your journey, but I counsel a lot of Black men that was just like a little like, I'm not getting into therapy. That's not for me. I'm not emotional. But we have to learn ways to redefine masculinity, because I can be vulnerable and masculine. I can be a provider and need emotional support. So really identifying that what I've been taught, we got some undoing. It's okay to seek emotional support. So if any of the ladies in here and the ladies outside of here, create spaces where men can just simply be themselves, be vulnerable, be heard, be loved.
And talking about that vulnerability, I'm going to swing over to Councilman Dunn. How important is vulnerability in your position as a leader? Because in some circles, they would say that vulnerability will be perceived as weak. So how do you practice what Dr. Mimi just talked about?
I think Dr. Mimi hit it right on the head. To be honest, I'm not doing well at that. You know, even outside of my profession, outside of politics, just personally, growing up as an athlete, you know, I was trained to be tough, to be barbaric, to be strong, not necessarily taught to be emotionally and tap into my emotions. So I'm not doing well in that. I'm becoming more aware of the things you pointed out and working to be better in that area, but I haven't gotten it, like many guys haven't gotten it. It's ironic that you invite me here to this, and I looked at my calendar, and every month this year, I've been to a event that's dedicated to men's emotional, mental health, or well-being. I think God trying to send me a sign. So I was happy to come, but I started looking at my calendar and said, man, I done been to one in February, in March, April, and May. You know, so I'm looking forward to giving here, but also receiving. But I agree wholeheartedly with what she said, but I'm not an expert in that area. I'm a novice and try to grow and expand and learn how to tap in more to my emotions.
And that transparency is important, because just like you, Councilman Dunn, there are many men that have not tapped into that emotional intelligence, that vulnerability. Dr. Conway, you deal with inmates in Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. How do you help men to access that emotional side, that vulnerability, just to be able to talk to you about the things that they've done to end up in Angola, in the penal system?
So the first thing I do is follow my research. I follow the data. So the data suggested that Black men are more comfortable speaking to other Black men. And so the first thing I do is create an environment and a space for them or any man that I speak with to feel safe and feel comfortable, non-judgmental and non-biased. And then I normalize the feeling or the emotion that they may experience. In some cases, very seldomly, if I have to disclose some personal experience, I will. I try not to do it a whole lot in practice. It's not recommended, but sometimes we need to do it to have a breakthrough. But normalizing that, first, you're human. And so we all have these emotions, and then to dispel the myths that Brother Dunn talked about, being an athlete and being a man, and we've been conditioned to be strong and not do this and not do that. The first thing I hear from anyone there, I wish I could take back the 30 seconds. We sometimes lack the emotional intelligence to understand what it is I'm feeling, and then don't have emotional regulation, right? So once we identify what we're feeling, then we can do something with it. But if we don't know what we're feeling, and we've been conditioned to only feel and express anger, so that speaks to the volume of crime that we have, because I can express anger really well, but I can't smile or laugh because I'm goofy. I can't be happy because I'm goofy. I can't cry and grieve because I'm weak. And so the only thing we're taught to display is anger. And so I go through all of those emotions with them and explain and normalize that this is okay. You're not built no different from her, from me, from him, and from him. And then at the end of the day, most times, they cry in office.
And men do cry. What I heard you say, that many men have a problem even smiling, laughing, and I'm going to swing over to Seabass because I've seen where you have used comedy as therapy. And how has that helped, and have you seen an impact in men that you know that were maybe dealing with depression, anxiety, loneliness, isolation? How has that helped those men, and how has it helped you?
Wow, great question, Lord. I appreciate that. First of all, I appreciate you for allowing me to be here. And before I really talk, how much time you said keep it to?
2 minutes.
Okay, 25 minutes. Perfect. No problem at all. No, again, thank you for allowing me to be here. I appreciate that. I'm always trying to, my job as a comedian is to make people feel good. However, when you add the spotlight into what, I've been doing it for 20 years. So being used to the spotlight is great, but now I've lived in Los Angeles. I love Los Angeles, but it is a very wicked place. It is a place where if you're not sure of who you are as far as foundation and some of the things that you're going for, maybe being a little more purpose-driven, you can find yourself in harm's way. And I see that kind of spread here now because of social media, where everyone has the same responsibility, I guess, if you will, to try to maintain or keep, I call it the hamster wheel. You hop on it and you jump into that social media hamster wheel, and now you're trying to satisfy the masses. And you guys are nodding your heads to what we all know, that you cannot satisfy the masses. They're going to always pull you apart, pick you apart. So you have to have a moment where you just say, enough. You have to say, I'm enough. You have to stop. Because again, you can do something as miraculous, probably walking on water, not to go biblical, but you can do that. You know, whatever, got salt water. Everybody walk on salt water. Let's see you walk on fresh water, you know. So it's just one of those things to where in just the years of doing so, I've been blessed to be given a vision to create a system. And that is the School of Comedy that you're wearing on my shirt. I have shirts here with me, but they're for sale. Thank you for the shirt. I just want to show, this is a nice shirt he gave us all. We got to make sure we don't wear them the same day, because I don't want to be your twin like that, but I love you. But these are very nice shirts. But when I say the School of Comedy, it's basically sharing what I enjoy as a gift of the art of stand-up comedy for everyone. And it might not be, you don't have to go be the next Kevin Hart. You don't have to go try to be a comedian if you want to be. There are people who ran for political positions that might want to touch up on their chops, their skills a little bit, and speaking in front of people and expressing themselves. And I've had people come up to me and they say, man, I did the open mic and I enjoyed myself, but is there more? What else can I do? Is there outlets? I've seen kids that, I was a kid that was in school to where my middle school years were very, very rough because I was always trying to joke. And I had nowhere to channel it. I'm from a very, very small town, Tula, Louisiana, shout out, very small town. So everything to me seems like, oh, this is a city. You know, everything seems great to me. So I look at Baton Rouge a little different. Baton Rouge is the place where I discovered even getting into comedy and performing arts, that sort of thing. But so I'm always trying to uplift. I'm always trying to encourage. But I find myself, you know, at times like, man, I'm the person who I need to enjoy myself. And sometimes when you even come to a place like a barbershop, sometimes I will switch locations sometimes, just because of the simple fact that when people start to kind of know who you are, he probably can attest to that for sure. Again, there comes a weight that's attached with that, to where you're always on, you're always trying to perform. And sometimes, just like anybody else, we have to find ways to just release. And that's why I depend on my family, my loved ones. But again, we don't realize how fragile we are. And I'm going to close in just a moment, but we don't realize how close to the edge we are. Most of us are living check to check. Most of us need each other. Nobody's really rich, like wealthy as far as the American dollar standard goes. That means that we all may have to depend on someone to help us do certain things. Brother Adrian here has helped me in a lot of my productions. with entertainment because he's great at videography, but also he's helped me as well in other things because he's not a host and I perform. You have as well. So I think just providing outlets and platforms for each other, sharing information. I'm a sharer, and unlike most black men, and it's not to call us out, but most of us don't share. I grew up in a home where I share, I talk, but I think I'm glad I'm in as a comedian because being in a comedian setting, I'm an open book. You got it. Comedy is truth. So I can go more into that, but I'll stop at that. But thank you for giving me a moment just to expound. So.
Okay, thank you. And what I heard there was you have to have what we call a village, support system, someone that can hold you accountable, someone that can be there for you when you need to unwind. It's hard sometimes for men to ask for that help because we've been taught to be so independent, and we don't know how to go to our brother and say, hey man, I'm struggling with something, I'm struggling with sexuality, maybe I'm struggling with infidelity, maybe I'm struggling with substance abuse. You have to get to that point and trust somebody that you can be transparent with because you don't have to do life by yourself. I'm gonna swing over to Corey. Now we're gonna get into some personal details and hopefully some of these things are gonna help you as well. Corey, I'm gonna ask you a question. Have you ever been judged before being understood?
Absolutely. I think it happens on a daily basis for me, only because I walk into a lot of rooms where there are congressmen on the local level. Even actually just last week we came back from DC and there were senior leaders from our company, and folks automatically assume that I may not have a speaking role or I may not, and then I find myself walking in rooms having to prove, and you know how it is. I mean, y'all know how it is. We have to be 10 times better to even be seen as half as good, and it's pressure that I feel every day. But one of the things that guides me is I've learned. My mom always told me to never let someone's issue with you become an issue for you. And so using that, it allows me to kind of separate.
Say that again.
Never allow someone's issue with you to become an issue for you. It's their issue. But if I allow the fear, or if I allow looks or judgment to impede, my performance for the day, then I've lost. And so typically when I open my mouth and they're like, oh, okay, and we're shocked, and then at first it's not like we're not gonna shake his hand, and at the end of the meeting it's like, thank you. And to me, when I walk around at work, whether it's the CEO of Coke or whether it's the janitor, I'm the same way. When I was in the Capitol, it was the same way. Whether it was the inmate or the Speaker of the House, I'm the same way. Because I think sometimes people just need joy. And going back to being vulnerable, I think as black men, just like Dr. Humi said, we have to be on all the time. You're expected to go to work and just be strong. We expected our dads to just be strong, never show signs of weakness. But I think having a safe space, having someone to be vulnerable with, to unload with, whether it be your significant other, your wife, your girlfriend, your mother, or somebody, I think that really allows the black man to come home, unwind, and get ready for the day. Like to just pump you up to say, listen, I know you're going to face a lot of stuff, but I got you. Go out there, do what you need to do, come back home. So I know that kind of veers off the next question, but yeah, absolutely. Judgment is a huge thing, man, but I will never, I used to allow it to affect me, and now I don't.
And you don't, because I judged you when I first walked in, because we all got a memo and an email that said, come dress relaxed. And he shut the whole set down.
I gotta go to another event.
Yeah, of course. We all, I'm sorry.
And even that's how quickly people judge you within a matter of seconds. First impressions are made within the first 3 seconds of meeting you. And oftentimes I share with people, if you dress a certain way, people may not know who you are, but they know what you're not. Right? So that's how, even in his position, as soon as he walks in the room, they might not know what his role is, but just by looking at him, they can say he must be about business. He must be a leader. And I think oftentimes for black men, we don't do that enough. We don't project what we want to be perceived as.
And I have seen you do that consistently for years, my brother. I appreciate that. Now you've been doing that since the day when I met you. You've been the same, and I appreciate that. I've seen people, let's say over the last few years, that may have started out with a certain agenda, and it may have got them maybe the attention they were seeking, and they were in one lane being something, and then of course, again, social media gets involved. They struggle with identity, and they end up not helping people, not really being their true self. So I thank you for being consistent and being that, and you're not doing other stuff out there. You're doing the right things by bringing us together. So I just want to say on behalf of myself, I hope everyone agrees, but thank you for even just doing this.
And some judgment is crazy. I'm gonna just say this one thing. The other day, I was in an elevator, and I was in there by myself, and this white lady gets on, and so I immediately grab my briefcase and go over to the corner because she kind of backed up, and she was looking at me like, and my thought was, I want you to understand how stupid you look.
Oh wow!
Like, you don't have to fear me, and I don't have to fear you, but you automatically assume that I'm on the elevator with a black man. He may try to harm me, and that that I feel like in that moment I'm like I'm gonna make her feel uncomfortable. And I do.
When you get a moment, I got something I would like to add on that too, but just go ahead.
I'm gonna go over here
That's
to
pretty big what you
Chase.
just said.
Chase, what are some pressures you face but you rarely talk about?
Man, a lot. I definitely, definitely a lot. But some pressures that I face is just having to go to the gym and have to keep that same energy, have to keep that positive energy for other clients, because that's my job, that's my duty, is to provide that outlet for clients. Over the past 6 months, recently in September, I lost my god brother due to depression. He committed suicide actually 3 days after my birthday. And he did not try to reach out for support, reach out to me, or reach out to anyone. He just decided to do what he wanted to do. One of the main things that he chose to do it was because he felt like that he needed to be a provider for his significant other, and he had a lot of pressure, and things just wasn't going his way. So that happened. Then later on, my grandfather, he passed away, and it was definitely tough because that's somebody that raised me from birth all the way up until now. I'm 26 years old too. So definitely been going through that for the last 6 months, and also 4 years ago I also lost my daughter, and just having to keep that morale, keep that great energy, to keep others encouraged, others motivated, others uplifted. That's definitely been a pressure, and time to time, just even talking about it, I ain't gonna lie, kind of like it shake me up a little bit, because it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Like a brother, a daughter, a father. Man, it just, even my real dad, he was in Angola for years, since I was 3 years old. He passed away due to somebody murdered him in jail when I was in 7th grade. So just having to leave that pressure outside before I walk in the gym, and just having to encourage others, but at the same time, me creating an outlet, that environment, and keeping those people uplifted, they keep me encouraged, they keep me uplifted. They keep me walking through my purpose and having to realize, like, man, I still have a lot to live for, because watching them transform, seeing their progress, seeing them smile and laugh, and that turned me up, you know what I mean? So, but as far as my outlet to, like I said, with that pressure, man, just living in my purpose, you know what I'm saying? Doing what God designed me to do, making sure I wake up every morning and just attack that mission, attack that goal. And I'm going to the gym and doing what I do the best.
And a lot of times, because you're a business owner, you've been consistent over the last 10 years, young man, 26 years old, to lose 3 people in 6 months.
It's crazy.
It's hard. And so a lot of times, some people would have quit, some people would have showed up the next day. And so I think for anyone that's listening, this is to remind you that your situation isn't unique. There's someone that went through the same thing that you're going through, and you hear a testimonial here that if you keep on showing up for purpose every day, then you have more to live for. You have others that are depending on you. And so let's not get selfish with our own pain, because there's someone else that's depending on you, right? And so your life means something to someone.
Definitely. Even sorry to cut you off, but even like you said, not being selfish, I just understand too. Like, 'cause there was times too where I'm like, man, I'm ready to go. I'm talking about go, like leave this earth. But then I think about it, like I can't be selfish. I got my brothers, I got my grandmother, I have my mom, I got my clients. I can't do anything, that drastic to that magnitude, because I still have people that love and care about me. You know what I mean? So Yeah, can't do nothing like that. Definitely got a lot to life to live, a lot to accomplish, a lot more to accomplish at that.
And I think too, even with that, you have a lot of people around you that wasn't male and female that wasn't afraid to say, "Man, we love you."
Right, that's real.
You know, check on you. And that's what we have to do as a support network as brothers, because a lot of times we think it's feminine to tell your guy, "Man, I love you." You know, some of my closest friends, sometimes when we get off the phone, before we get off the phone, we tell each other, "Hey man, love you, bro." You know, and we have to start doing that more if we're going to erase the hate, the bitterness, the pain that's inside of people that they don't talk about. Adrian, I'm gonna come over here to you. Talk about, you're in hospitals a lot, you deal with fitness and health. How has health played a role in mental hygiene and how people are reacting and how people are moving through society?
I think a lot of men are just uninformed on a lot of things as well. Meaning, like this morning, I had a community event. After the community event, I went to the gym. And I saw two men just working hard. And I encouraged them. I was like, "Man, I see y'all working out hard, brother. Like, good job." And they were sweating. I was like, thank you, man. So left them alone, hopped on the treadmill, and I overheard them talking. "Man, what time you went to bed last night?" 1 o'clock. "What time you went to bed?" 2 o'clock. I was like, they may not realize it, but sleep, lack of sleep, like we as men, and I'm talking from experience, like not me like talking from a judgment or up here, it's because I've been on what we call in the hospital being on stage. And I feel like sometimes I'm on stage all the time. And even when I get home, my wife will joke about it, but if she says something about the house, like I feel like as a man, I gotta fix it. Like she's like, "No, I'm not telling you because I want you to fix it." I'm like, "Well, when you say it, it means I gotta fix it." Like the walls, something needs to be painted, and I'm like, "Okay, I got it." But men, you know, we need to learn how to give ourselves grace. Like it's okay to go to sleep. Like kids need 10 hours of sleep in elementary school to let their brains develop. Men need rest to let their whole body recover, not just the brain wash itself and restore itself, but their bodies need to be restored. And not only that, but lack of sleep. And I'm listening to these guys talk, 4 or 5 hours of sleep they may have gotten. So you're talking about not just your heart, like it can cause heart disease, it can cause heart issues, it can cause bodily injuries, but it's one of the number one indicators on depression. I read this book 3 times, and I say read it, but my comedian friend laughed at me about that. I walked and listened to the podcast, or listened to the book. Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep. Lack of sleep has been connected to Alzheimer's, depression, anxiety, panic attacks. And what happens when we don't get lack of sleep, we start to turn to other substances to cope. And what happens is we start drinking, we start smoking weed, we start doing different things, and those are only treating the symptom. And what happens is and I was talking to somebody about drinking because I'm guilty of it, being transparent too. During the pandemic, we went out to, we did something called cardio at the pavilion. Once they started opening up things to be outside, there was a lot of socializing. I was not a drinker, but once I got with, crowds, I started catching myself drinking wine. And I was like, okay, Monday, okay, Tuesday, okay, wait a minute, like it's starting to be pretty often. And then I had to catch myself, and I'm talking to teenagers about vaping and smoking marijuana, and I'm like, and I'm coping with wine. And another thing about wine and sleep and mental health is that wine does not, and I've argued with men about this, wine may make you sleepy, but you're only sedating yourself. You're not getting good quality sleep, and you're not going through every sleep cycle. So what happens is you're dealing with sleep deprivation even though you're sleeping, and it's affecting mental health as well. Wow. And it can put us on a dangerous path.
And that's why I don't like you right now, but I love you, because I have to speak up on something that I recently went through that had me out of commission for a week. I lost a week of my life. I know a lot of people talk about, man, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm about to lose my mind. I literally lost my mind. And it was a series of about 2-3 weeks where I gave to my assistant a lot of shows on the road I was doing. and I just grabbed a bunch of, this year for some reason, the allergies have been killing me this year. And, I ran out of what I always use, which is my non-drowsy stuff. But I have Benadryl. I always have my Benadryl if I need it. And I just grabbed a handful of them, put in a bag, gave it to her and say, look, just give me one when I need them. But not only just the Benadryl, from the find out the Benadryl had been 2 years expired. Didn't know it. I just grabbed a bottle out of my cabinet. There were 24-hour Benadryl, which I don't know why you want to be drowsy for 24 hours, but that's neither here nor there. I was taking them every probably 6 hours because my allergy symptoms were getting worse and worse and worse. I'm doing interviews and talking to people, allergy symptoms getting worse and worse. I even talked to him about it. And he knows that because I'm a comedian, but I'm also, like many of you guys, business owner. I run myself as a business, my own booking agency. I also have my own production company, my school of comedy. I'm doing a lot of stuff, residency, film production. There's a lot of things to where, when you're wearing that many hats and you're trying to cover so much ground, I don't sleep hardly ever. And for a while, I felt proud about it. I was like, yeah, well, I ain't starting to sleep that much and sleep when I'm dead. And I sleep and I ain't worried about that. I stay on the go. And I was all huffing about it and I felt great about it. And not until after a couple weeks of taking this medication, I started to hallucinate. I started to just kind of, in some ways, I would say clairvoyant side a little bit. I felt like I was seeing things like vision. There were other side that was not so clairvoyant, and it ended up leading to a situation where I had a mental episode. Because of course, as an entertainer, sometimes before I perform, I will take a drink, sometimes to calm my nerves. I've been doing it for so long, I really don't need it, but it kind of becomes a part of the social climate that you're in. I even sometimes do a little marijuana, do a little gummy, things like that. Well, that concoction that I mix together with trying to calm myself down and rest, there was a lot of things that happened that I had no idea what was going on. So you read these things. How often do you read a story where you hear about someone losing it? Even Martin Lawrence himself, several years ago, was running buck naked through LA, just running around. You hear these stories, and a lot of times men are put down in those instances. It's not like, let me check on them, let's just subdue them, let's maybe whatever, it's, I'm gonna put you down. And when you think of how scary that was, again, I felt extremely hurtful for my wife, but it got to a point to where thankfully she has a great family who came to my aid, and I found myself in a psych ward. I woke up in a psych ward.
Well, right there, because I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Dr. Conway, going back to what he just said about juggling multiple responsibilities. What do you say to that man that's trying to be a father, be a husband, be a business owner, all of these things, but not finding a space to just withdraw and re-energize? What do you say to that man?
So we bought into don't quit, keep going, don't stop. I love Eric Thomas, but He gets up at 3
Oh,
o'clock in the
yeah.
morning.
Right.
I don't understand it. I get up at 5 right now and I hate it.
Real.
Right.
So we bought into so much,
Yeah.
right? And so the way it looks for us is a lack of concentration, lack of sleep, some hallucinations, excessive drug, alcohol use, and we don't know it. To speak to what happened with Layla's friends, the biggest cause of death among people is suicide. Right? Of all the things, it's suicide. For men, the biggest cause of death is suicide for us. Particularly under age 55. And it's until we feel how Chase felt, he couldn't go anymore, where we decide we need some help. But it's really late at that point. Right? So this is what I did. I don't do Fridays. I'm gonna give you all I got Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Anywhere I go work, I'm negotiating. That's a non-negotiable for me. You want me? This is how we have to do it. So over the course of a year, I've lost about 35 pounds, unintentionally. So in the morning, I will go walk the lake around my condo, and not fast walking, just walk. Watching social media, might talk to somebody, text. I would text group, clown. I end up doing 5 miles.
Wow.
Then I'm going into my office. Then I'm leaving work about 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to do the same thing in the evening. And then in the evening, I might watch the sunset, sit on the benches, watch the ducks, watch Mother Nature take its place, and practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is it's really important in that what you're doing in that very moment is appreciating that moment. So when you take your 5 senses, touch, taste, hear, smell, what's the other one? Sight. You focus and you hone in on that, and you savor that taste, or you savor that sight of the ducks, the mama duck calling the baby ducks to follow her to get across, and you just focus on that. Because we suffer too much with the three things men suffer with is anxiety, stress, and depression. It affects our sexual performances, and then we have performance anxiety. We don't have eating. It's anxiety. So then we may go to the doctor and get some pills that we really don't
even need, right?
Right.
Wow.
So take the time for yourself. Don't negotiate that with yourself, because if you do, then you end up, unfortunately, having the experience you had. In 21, like Chase, I lost my mom, my dad, my best friend, and I got divorced all in 12 months. Mimi will tell you those are life-changing events that one person would experience every 7 to 10 years, right? So we did it in a matter of 8 months to a year. So Lord was really instrumental in me remaining sane, because I was writing my PhD, still leading my family, and I was an executive director. I couldn't stop. I couldn't take a day off. And so our work becomes obsessive for us.
Yes.
So a man that is just working 24/7, that could be type A personality, but something else could be wrong.
And that's why I feel glad you say that, because the biggest word for me was stop. Go ahead. Yeah, that was the biggest I got out of that experience, was just.
I have a question. Thank you, Colin, because that was amazing. I want to know, what is the most important thing in your life, anyone? Like, what is the most important thing in your life?
Family.
Family.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
agree.
Same for me.
Huh?
Same for me.
I'd agree.
Family.
Many times I ask that for women, and they're going to say their kids, they're going to say their career, they're going to say their partner. But I train people to say the most important thing is yourself.
Is that in line with peace?
That's in line with peace, recognizing that I may be at a deficit. And I think the biggest thing with men is you prioritize everything else. But you got to put yourself back at the core. How can I be a provider? How can I show up in these different facets of life if I'm not taking care of myself?
Right.
So we're not trained that.
Yeah.
But and literally no one said me.
Yeah.
I
It's
want to
considered
add
selfish.
to that. I want to add to that too, Dr. Mimi, because I think we do have to prioritize ourselves as men. We're always trying to take care of other people, but how important or how impactful is it to hear demeaning words from the people that you're trying to support?
Wow. To be honest, as a woman, I think we don't realize that our words hold weight. They hold power. And if you don't feel like you're in a space where you're being heard or felt value, that's one of the biggest things. What is someone telling you? What is someone saying to you? Are they building you up or tearing you down? And most times as women, we don't realize it. We just take out the trash, do this, cut the grass, and it's like,
Yeah, it's like, good morning. Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Right. Hey, handsome, or I see you, doing a great job, but we're not. And I'm sorry, we have some undoing in the black female community too, because we are the ones that's tearing our black men down. And let's be honest.
I gotta be transparent. Look, so hey, look, last year I was in a relationship, so man, I had just went through my my anniversary or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we just made Tasting and Achieving 50th anniversary. I'm turned. You know what I'm saying? So everybody telling me happy anniversary. Y'all telling me happy anniversary. Mom, auntie, friends. You know what I'm saying? I ain't hear nothing from my old lady, so I'm like, so then the next day I followed up with, I said, babe, everybody told me happy anniversary, but you. So I'm like, so what's up with that? Well, I didn't know it was that important. I was like, it's definitely important. This is my livelihood. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm able to do for you and do for myself.
Well, that's that cut right there, boy.
She was just like, well, I didn't know it was that serious, and you sound weak talking about it. Like, she actually told me, like, that was weak. Like, you and your feelings, like, it ain't that deep. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I was just like, I don't even think this gonna work, because you know what I'm saying? Like, you supposed to, man, for women, you gotta turn your man up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make them feel important, because at times, like, we be needing that reinsurance time to time. Like, yeah, I know I'm doing my thing or whatever, but kind of turn me up a little bit so I could feel good, because you give me that extra motivation, that extra drive, that boost, so I could keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. So some women look at that as like, I ain't gonna tell my man this, or I ain't gonna tell him that, because I don't want him to get too high. But why not? You know what I'm saying?
I kind of demand it, honestly. In my household, I demand it, because I've been told I've been funny for a long time. And that's great. If I meet someone, they tell you funny, you're awesome, let's take pictures. That's a part that comes with the job, the career. I'm not doing it for them. I want that applause from my home.
That's real.
I want to feel like that, because I can make the world laugh, and that's great, but no offense to the world, but that comes and goes.
Right,
your house is there every single day.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed, I'm going to come to you.
Okay.
One of the things I noticed about you, Councilman Dunn, I think you've done a beautiful job of including your family. Anytime I see you, how long you been married?
25 years.
To your high school sweetheart.
Woo!
That's tough.
Wait till you drop that rap cipher next week. You gotta drop it hard. Councilman Dunn coming.
I want to talk about briefly, how important is that for not only just your wife, but your daughters are a part of pretty much everything that you do. Yeah. Why do you do that, and how has that impacted your home?
Two things for me. My dad and my family modeled that. When I came up, my parents divorced after 25 years. So that impacted me and my sister. So I never wanted to go through that experience, So I wanted to make sure I did everything I could to try to not let that be our fate. And, spending that time with them, making them be a part of the things I do, I felt would help, unify us and keep us together. I was in the network marketing business some years ago. A white lady, Susan Walsh, pulled me aside, and she said, this type A mentality, go get it, drive, making it happen. She was like, please, that's good. That's great. It's great that you're doing all these things and making all these things happen. But she gave me a nugget. Not only just, have your family around, include them, but she was like, include them in the reward. So when you get a bonus, when you close a deal, when you make a big check, make sure not only do you get that reward, but share it with them. Whether that's taking them out to eat, whether that's, giving them a part of the check, let them know why you're gone. This is why he's gone. This is why he's missing. This is why he's not present at this moment. So let them share in the reward. But the other part was that it's, bring them along with you sometimes. You know, make sure they're a part of it, make sure they see it, make sure they're a part of it. So those are some of the reasons why I do it. I genuinely enjoy being around my daughters, my wife. You know, we have a good time. It's natural.
And just before I go to the next question, I want to give one of our audience members, Mr. Herman Johnson. We're in Louisiana Rich right now, Louisiana Rich Studios, and he's the owner. And I just wanted him to talk about that because he includes his family, and I want him to talk about the model, what you've set up through Louisiana Rich, and how that's impacted your whole family.
Well, basically, I feel like your home is your hospital. That's your repair zone. And my family helps repair me from the outside world. So I involve them in my war outside when I go out to fight for us. I go back home, that's my sanctuary. That's my hospital. Plus, when I bring them along, they have a sense of what I'm going through daily. So they know how to help repair me. You know what I mean? So I kind of keep my family with my journey, in this journey is my safe haven. Even when I'm in strange places, they're with me, and I feel like I'm at home. You know what I'm saying? But then the home is my hospital. My IV. You know what I mean? They help me get back, ready for tomorrow. And my whole thing was when we started Louisiana Rich, just tapping into each one of my kids' talents and putting an umbrella over them and us carrying it out together. My purpose is the family, because the money without the purpose is meaningless. Right? You feel me?
Money without the purpose is meaningless.
That's nothing. So they're my purpose. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like even though I put them first as my purpose, sometimes I do have to put myself first so I can do for them. And that's pretty much it. But I like the point that your boy right here had as far as, basically rehabbing yourself, taking care of yourself. That's very important.
And when you say your home is your hospital, everybody's familiar with the happy hour. And that originated, go ahead.
What I want to know, I want to ask a question and see, I know how I created my hospital, but how do you help other people create their space? You know what I'm saying? What do you tell them to do? Like, we have to be kind of elementary when we get to this point. A lot of people in the gray areas, right? So they don't know how to navigate to get to this spot. You know what I'm saying? And money don't care all of it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you got to know who your helpmate is, who you assign to this job with you in life. To really have your back. So how do you identify that person that's going to help create that hospital? You know what I mean?
I was just going to add, like you were saying earlier, just the flip side of having that supportive spouse was that we go way back. So, 27 years in July, married to my wife. Going home to my wife.
You get a clap. 27 years. Sorry, please.
No, we go way back, and we brought up family and the foundation. And to be honest with you, as a man, I look forward to going home. Like, I get off from work, and I'm like trying to get through traffic to get home. My wife does build me up. She does encourage me. She does motivate me. But shout out to D. Shout out to D. But I think the problem with me, like you said, we need to get back to the basics. And like with me, like my wife will warn me. She'll say, "Are you all right? Are you good?" Because like you're always on go. Like you had 5 events this week. Okay, when are you gonna rest? Like, and with me, I have to give myself permission because she's building me up. Like, she won't let me leave the house without a hug and a kiss. She won't let me come home without a hug and a kiss. Like, when I get home, we have a hug and a kiss. I have a 19 and 21-year-old, like, on Sundays, we still have family night where we at least watch a movie or play games. Like, off the devices, we actually play Uno Get Savage, but we play. But, we'll do that. But I still, like, and not only my wife, But other women in the community and in other organizations, they'll see me. All right, I see you. You did 5 events this week. You okay? Like, are you resting? And I'll still ignore it. Like that off button is hard to find for me. That off button is sometimes hard to find.
I've heard, and many of us, I was getting ready to say, everybody's familiar with happy hours. Usually happy hour occurs in the after work between 4 and 5. The history behind that is a lot of men found their happiness before they got home. And I've always wanted to talk about that stigma. Why do you have to go to a bar to get happy when you should be able to go home and be happy? But I feel social media and other distractions have taken the place of the hug and the kiss when you come home. By a show of hands that have people that live in the household, do you all still greet the person that's coming home every day, or is it just like that person, or you greet it when they come home, or do you just continue on doing what they're doing when they walk in the door? Or who's greeted when they get in?
I would, we greet. I'm greeted for the most part. Yeah. I'm about to say, because for me, I had such a hard time because like we're talking about, me and my wife, we have this big thing about peace, and my wife is extremely introverted, which is great for me because as you can see, I'm, I don't talk, I talk a lot. So with me always talking, her not talking, it works. But sometimes we always say we're gonna make our home our peace, like we talking about. We're gonna make it peaceful. The issue that I had, and it's on me totally, is that I was doing my best before my incident to try and keep the entertainment world from her. I didn't want her to know everything that was going on because it can be very hectic at times. You're doing deals, contracts on the line, you're talking, all kind of stuff going on, and you find yourself in situations where she needs to know. She needs to know everything. You married to this, so I gotta let you know. So that's what we've been working on since then, just because I was withholding information and I didn't know that I was doing that, so I thought I was protecting her, but I'm really hurting her and I'm hurting myself. So we had a big just gap between us, and I'm coming home like, hey, like a sitcom, and it's like, dude, no, you just went through some stuff out there, so you need to stop doing it. And so she can know the magnitude of what I'm dealing with, because I don't think sometimes she may understand and know, because not many people understand that world.
That's real.
Tap in right there, because I want to go back to the question you put out there. Is asking how to train or advise somebody else to create this environment for them.
Yeah.
And what I want to put out there, 25 years married, 27 years married. The biggest 27 years married. The biggest thing
you like you ain't even you like you
had this misconception.
We got married at 4 years old.
If you've been married a while, you got it all together.
Yeah.
Well, what worked for me in my marriage may not work for him in his marriage, may not work for him in his marriage. So I got 25, he got 27, he got 27. We all did it different ways.
4.5.
So for me, the first thing I tell people is, you got to understand what's pleasing to you, what's pleasing to your wife. You got to start there first. I can tell you some success principles, but they may or may not apply to you. So you got to make sure that these apply to you, and then go from there. The other thing, talking about the hand clap, my wife deserved the hand clap, because I hadn't been a pleasant person to be with. And oftentimes, you're the person out front, you're out here doing things. The spouse is supporting you, they're encouraging you. They play in the background while you're out there. They're missing you during this sacrifice time when you giving your time and energy to a whole lot of people. So it take a special person to one thing from the pictures. The wife is asked, hey, can you take a picture of us? That's sometimes can be an intimidating situation.
Oh yeah.
Those type of mental things that can kind of play on the relationship and on the individual.
Facts.
So there's so many things. Obviously, faith in God, faith in self, and love and happiness. When me and my wife got married, I shared with her. I said, look, ain't no exit signs. It's an enter sign, but ain't no exit sign. So, I'm doing this one time, and it's the devil do us for.
Okay, shoot. Welcome to death row.
That's right. Represented.
Only one way out.
Yeah, I like that though.
We've
Yeah.
been committed to thus far. That what worked for us. Another woman that may not work for her.
Yeah.
Corey, let me ask you this: how do you prioritize self-care in your daily life?
I have to consciously make the decision every day to choose me. So at any given day, I may have like 20, 40 things on my to-do list. And out of those 40 things, I've started to add 5 for myself, and I realized like it's cool to do things for the 9 to 5 and all that stuff, but it's kind of like Dr. Mimi said, if you are not making sure that you are okay, nobody else in your circle will be okay, your family will be okay. I can't show up, and what I realized is I was putting out so much of my energy for my family, my friends. It's kind of like I'm pouring everything out of my cup, and then nothing is left for me. So at this point, I'm just in a season of like really kind of being selfish, telling people no, even my family sometimes. Only prioritizing my health. I make 40 this year, so I'm like, okay, I gotta really start thinking. So now, at this point, everything that comes in the cup is me. Whatever flows over the cup, I'll give it to somebody else. But I gotta make sure I'm good. It's almost like I have a friend that's my place of being vulnerable. And I think in every relationship, you need like a black man when he comes home. Ain't no way in the world I would come home to foolishness, or I gotta go drink to come home. Like that's your sanctuary. Like that's your peace. That's your place to recharge. That's your place to say, man, let me tell you about this day.
So
let
what
me tell you about
leads you
this
to this wisdom? Like have you married before, divorced, or you just
no,
what made
man.
you wake up to say, hey, I'm a prioritize time for myself? Because most people, especially I know when I was single, it was not even those thoughts. So what made you like,
because I paid attention to like it's weird. I see people live 2 lives on social media. I see them post one thing and then I hear them call me and be like blah 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 blah. I see people that go in church and be broken. Like I'll be like, man, you serving a God that's supposed to do all this stuff, but every time you come here you broken. And I mean, is God not the God to repair you and sustain you? Like at this point now you playing with my God. Like I know what He can do. And I think we too often, you know what I'm saying? Like we look at social media and we think, yeah, if I could just have this, like I tell my friends, like they be like, "What you doing tonight?" I'm going home. You ain't doing nothing. No, I tell them my key is just me. I'm good. It's peace.
Like I pay money to live here. Let me enjoy
something. I am good. Like yeah, it's ghetto living alone. I gotta make the bacon, bring it home, cook it, wash clothes, fold clothes. So I'm about to hire housekeeper at this point, but it's too much. But yeah, I mean, I think you have to consciously make the decision that I'm choosing myself. It's kind of like people that are serial daters that are always in relationships. I was like, nah, I love myself more than the idea of someone loving me.
Like, love yourself more than the idea of someone loving you.
Yeah, that's real.
Dr. Mimi, as it relates to moods and behaviors, if I'm a man and I'm starting to know what moods or behaviors should I be aware of that I may be on the verge of a breakdown, feeling anxiety, depression, what moods and behaviors should I be looking for?
So when I think of that, and that's just for anyone, what happens when you bruise? When anyone bruises, what do we bruise? Like what happens? It's but it's internal, right? So you can see, I got a dark mark, but it's nothing open. So men are used to seeing things that's open. So I can cut you right now, you're going to see physically I need to go get some help. But when you bruise on the inside, you're irritable. You don't even have a motivation to get up. You know, we got this grind mentality, you're not doing that. You're emotionally cut off from other people. I hate when men say, oh, I'm not doing this no more, I'm emotionally unavailable. That's a problem for me. What trauma have you experienced that you can't be emotionally available to the next person? So it's more of what you feel than what you can physically see. And I think as men, and I'm not a man, but I think in just working with men, we ignore the things that's on the inside. So I really want to like stress bruising. If it's something that has hurt you to your core, because you do hurt, you have feelings. What are those things? What changed me? What shifted me to be this person? How can I address that? I can't always see physically what's wrong with me, but really taking an internal thing like, okay, I'm not the same. I'm going to places that I used to light up. I'm dimming them. You ever had a negative person where it's like you come around, hey, what's going on?
Oh yeah.
Oh, just trying to make another day. Where is the happiness? Where is the positivity? And that's key indicators. It doesn't have to be sadness, loneliness. But if I get around you, can't say nothing positive.
Right.
If you're guarded when you're dating, I tell people, after I was dating, what's your trauma? I want to know your trauma. I don't care about how much money you made. What's your trauma? Because you're going to bleed on people that didn't hurt you.
Right.
So I really want us, as everyone, to really do a self-search internally what shifted me, because we all have things that changed us. And how am I impacting the people around me?
That's good.
Some of that stuff is
Y'all stop bleeding
deep
on
childhood
people.
too.
Y'all stop bleeding on
Yeah,
people.
But we all do it.
Because because if you don't stop bleeding on people, you will be put in a situation where you have no choice but to trust the person that's around you. And when you're helpless in a situation where you're seeing things happen, you can't even do anything. I'm as smooth talking as anybody. I can get myself out of any situation with this because I wasn't always decide, please. I was real skinny, small. I had to talk. I learned how to do it. But you get to a point to where God put me in a position going through my situation where I was so heavily sedated in the hospital, I couldn't say or do anything. I had to trust the person, that my wife. I had to trust the people in the room to do their job, and that was a huge thing for me because for so long, I've been able to navigate streets, cities, all in and out circles. I'm the guy that might be in the middle of a club, middle of a party, middle of something. I'm seeing all kind of stuff happening, and I'm just sitting there keeping myself in. I'm gonna be straight. But then you find yourself in a position where you are tied down, or you're somewhere where you cannot do anything about it. That will change. It changed me because I'm the kind of person that either you touch the stove, it's hot, or you don't. I'm the one that's okay. He says hot, I'm not gonna touch it. But in this case, I wasn't that person until I was in that vulnerable position. And I agree with what you're saying. It really changed me to say, hey man, no matter how strong you may think you are, you can fall.
And then I heard we have to get back to trusting the people that God has put in our lives.
Yes.
To build us
Yeah.
up. I want to go back to Dr. Conway. As it relates to behaviors and moods, what are some key indicators if it's a mom dealing with a teenage son? If it's a child that sees certain behaviors in their parent.
Wow.
My daughter shared with me 2 of her classmates, their dads committed suicide just this year.
Wow.
So what would have been some telltale signs, if any, that person was dealing with depression, anxiety, loneliness that led to that fatal outcome?
I think generally maybe some isolation. Probably had begun to withdraw from activities. Probably had stopped having sex with his wife. I'm using the word sex because sex is huge. So in terms of depression and anxiety. And so those are usually some indicators that somebody's not emotionally well. He probably had begun to have one more drink than he would typically have. He probably had difficulties concentrating, and then at some point he had become helpless and hopeless.
Wow.
And so we have what is called learned helplessness. That's when you're in a situation where you learn, or you've interpreted, there's no way that I can get out of this situation, so I become helpless. And so once a person, while working at this maximum security prison or wherever I'm working at, there's certain keywords Mimi and we listen for. And a person may not say that I'm hopeless, but their entire conversation tells us that they are hopeless. And so that's key for us, that this person could be on the brink of suicide or giving it thoughts. And so those are some of the things that those gentlemen probably have gone through, especially because it's the biggest killer among men. And another statistic is that 77% of all suicides that are successful are by men. That is far more than any, it's either men or women and children, but that is far more than any other people group. So women have more attempts, men are more successful. That means that when we attempt it, we are intentional about dying. A female may take some pills, or I'm not sure what else, but they might do overdose. A man is gonna grab a gun, he's gonna hang himself, he's gonna jump off a building, he's gonna do something really significant or drastic so that he doesn't make it. So 77% of suicides that are successful are by men. And that's because of how we internalize what's happening. And it's lifestyle, work, and their financial security. I think I heard everybody mention that. Those are the three main reasons for men to become in such a state of mind.
Wow. Chase, as it relates to fitness, and we're getting ready to wrap it up in about 10 minutes, but as it relates to fitness, how impactful has fitness been in the men's journeys that you train? Have you seen their motivation build? Have you seen their self-esteem build? How has fitness played a part in mental health and mental
I didn't see their confidence skyrocket. I didn't see they didn't have a better relationship with their wife. I didn't see they going out more, having fun, posting more on Instagram, their clothes. They like, man, I was wearing a extra large, now I'm down to a large, you know what I'm saying? So those type of things that I'm like, man, very, very impactful. A lot of things too, man, like Doc said, man, sex, they'll kind of come by me, man, bro, hey, man, I had one of the best nights I had in a long time. Look at them babies don't work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a lot of things, man, as far as, like I said, confidence, sex, appearance, their mental, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, they'll get up in the morning feeling better, have more energy, you know what I'm saying? They're happier, they feel good, you know what I'm saying? So they're going around talking to people, just spreading that positive energy because they feel positive about themselves. Yeah. So definitely.
Exercise in itself leads to better mental hygiene.
Yes, sir.
Adrian, you just did a study on the things that we eat. How are those things impacting us chemically as far as mental hygiene is concerned?
Well, a lot of us are nutrient deficient as well, meaning we may eat a lot of fast food on the road, but it's better to eat at home and get, actually for men or for adults, over 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables every day. And so when we're not eating those servings of fruits and vegetables, we're nutrient deficient of certain things that help regulate hormones as well in our body. So, and I like how Dr. Conway and I'm sorry, brother, I forgot your name, Chase, how you said isolation was one of the indicators in how you talked about how being in the gym. I noticed that as well, seeing when you're eating well and you're feeling well and you're looking well and you're around other people and working out, it all works together. And isolation is one of the main things too that you see as an indicator of mental health. But when you started working out and start eating better and feeling better, you're with a group and you're with a crowd and you're training, and it just boosts your confidence to do. There's so many things, but a lot of people are nutrient deficient, and water, not drinking enough water, not hydrating enough.
Look, let me say this too. From a psychological perspective, we are mentally deficient of some neurotransmitters. And so we don't understand why kissing and hugging for 20 seconds is important.
Oxytocin.
When we do that, we release oxytocin, right? That's a neurotransmitter that feels good.
Yeah.
When we lose weight or when we exercise or when we see a woman or a woman see a man that's really attractive, our body releases dopamine.
Yeah.
Now, we can have an overload of dopamine with drugs, which is when folks have overdoses and all of that, but our body naturally produces that. So we have dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. Those are all neurotransmitters that helps to regulate our moods. Now, if we're clinically depressed, then a psychiatrist would suggest medication, because if you're lacking that chemical, or if that chemical cannot reach your dendrites to tell you, hey, it's beautiful outside, the sky is blue. No therapist is going to do that for you. So we are apprehensive about medicine in the black community, and for a lot of reasons. But the fact is, if there's a chemical imbalance, there's no talk that Mimi and I could do with you for hours that would give you those chemicals. And so we're not only chemical nutrient deficient, but we're nutrient deficient from a physiological, psychological perspective. And so that's why that happens to us.
A lot of black men, they don't even want to take medicine. They don't even believe in taking medicine. You know?
You brought something else up that I did forget about the eating more servings of fruits and vegetables, the getting sleep, getting hydration. And I know you talked about the chemical. One other thing that I forgot to add was reducing screen time, news. Like a lot of times we take in so much news. Because I had to tell my wife one day, like, we had gotten on, just during the week, we had gotten so much news, political, everything going on. Young people, and I really, being in the community a lot, I really take it personal when I hear about another young man dying and being killed in gun violence. And so just listening and watching and listening and watching, sometimes you have to reduce that screen time as well, because that may have an effect on the emotional side of it.
Well, it does. I read a study, and I know how this might sound, but we have progressed a lot.
Yeah.
But our brains have not progressed fast enough.
Wow.
So we have what is sensory overload.
Okay.
So our brains have not evolved enough to handle the information that we have 24 hours a day.
That's good.
So that's where, before the pandemic came, we were already in a stress and anxiety pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? So we're keeping up with everybody's business. We're watching every advertisement. We're watching everything that goes on in the world, from the news, everything. And our brains can't keep up with it. It just hadn't evolved that much.
Wow. That's good.
So while we think it's entertaining us, it's hurting us, because women and young girls now have an increased level of depression, according to the American Pediatric Association.
Before we get ready to close, go ahead, Cleve. I know you was gonna say something.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not lost on the point that he just made about it's nothing that him and Doc could do to you if there was something chemically imbalanced. So we're focusing on mental health, which is very important, and there's a lot of focus on that right now. But the physical health piece, you know, a lot of us males and black people don't like medicine, don't like to go to the doctor. So what he was saying is there may be something from a physical standpoint that need to be addressed, and we got to make sure we're going to the doctor regularly. We're getting these checkups, we're getting evaluated, we're getting our blood checked. You know, high blood pressure, diabetes, all that things, specifically in the black community, is real. So I just want to encourage everybody to get connected with a doctor, go see them regularly. Early detection is the key with anything. So I didn't want that point to get lost.
Good point. That's good.
You want to add to
No, I was going to say
Good point.
So as we are moving forward with our mental health, being cognizant of what we're feeling, our moods, our behaviors, I want each one of you that are watching, especially the men and then the ladies as well, because I'm going to give you a little homework. Start to take an inventory. There are certain questions and certain things that you should be hearing on the regular just for your mental hygiene. You should be hearing that you're one of a kind. Everything you need, you already have it. Never comparison is the thief of joy. Watching someone's highlight reels is only going to make you more depressed. It's only going to make you more anxious, because everybody's not going to show you the bad side. And so be careful in how you digest and intake as it relates to social media. Someone needs to be telling you that they believe in you. If you're a lady, you should be telling the persons in your life or the man in your life that you believe in them. We need to hear that. Oftentimes, men, when we talk, a lot of men are saying, I never ever heard my wife say, I believe in you. I never even heard my children say, I believe in you. You're powerful as a man. You've been given a big task by God to rule and reign and to have authority and to lead and to guide and to direct. Take on that power. Never lose sight of that. You are who God created you to be, and you are powerful. And we also have to begin to tell people that we accept them as who they are, without judgment, not without villainizing that person because we don't agree with a certain lifestyle. We have to stop being God ourselves. God's creations, He doesn't make any mistakes. And so practice telling somebody, I accept you who you are. I'm not going to make you be who I think you should be, but I accept you right where you are. I respect you. Oftentimes in barbershops all over the country, men are coming in and telling their barbers every day, they don't respect me, they don't listen to me. I've been given the back room of the house, my man cave, but bring back the respect of the man in the household, and allowing even our children to see that level of respect. ladies that have husbands, let them know that they're an incredible father. Mother's Day is right around the corner, and every store all over America has displayed Mother's Day. Father's Day, there's not as big as a hoopla about Father's Day. You barely, if you don't look at the calendar, you'll miss it. But we have to maximize those moments to celebrate these black men. Let them know how proud of them you are, whether it's big or small. Don't be afraid to celebrate. Don't wait on a birthday. Don't wait on a Valentine or a special day. Do it every day just to remind that man, because these men are in fights every day, and they need to come home and be celebrated and not just tolerated. And then again, men, be patient with yourself. Everything's not going to happen overnight. These men and women that are on this panel today, they all have a track record of consistency. They've worked hard, and they've put in the time. And so don't compare and lose sight of what you can become. If you don't give up, you will win. You're powerful, you're strong, your mental hygiene is in check. You're ready for the next stage in life. We want to thank Louisiana Rich. We want to thank comedian Seabass, Mr. Adrian, Mr. Corey Stewart, Councilman Cleve Dunn, Dr. Mimi, Dr. Conway, Chase Fleming for being with us. Men, keep doing what you're doing. We hear you, we see you. Stay strong.
And I just want to tag. I feel like doing some push-ups right now. I don't know about y'all.
Come on, let's go.
I feel so good. At least run a lap.
Yeah.
I want to say thank to the men out there. Support live entertainment. Support comedy. Zoom in on that. May 17th, all residency. Social Yours comedy shows are great release. Men, I need you. I be having like 50 women at these shows. I can't have them all. I've already got the one. So come. If you're looking, we out there. They out there. Nice women too that pay most of their bills. So come out there and check it out. Support mental hygiene.
Just as constant reminder, when you're in that mirror, you're putting on cologne, you're putting your deodorant on. Mental hygiene is top
tier. I love it. You thought that yourself? You thought that yourself?
Yes,
we'll fact check that. We'll fact check it.